Charles Darwin is best known for the origination of the theory of natural selection. His theory was published in his book, On the Origin of Species, in 1859. But how did Darwin come to this theory? Let's go back a few years. Charles Darwin was born on February 12, 1809, in the Mount, Shrewsbury, Shropshire, England. He grew up in an Anglican family, though it was thought that his father and a few other members of his family were free thinkers. At the age of 16, Darwin began studying medicine at the University of Edinburgh Medical School. While there, he was not interested in the subject of medicine. Instead, he spent much of his time learning things such as taxidermy, natural history, and the classification of plants. Darwin's father, Robert Darwin, was annoyed by Charles' lack of interest in the medical studies, so he enrolled Charles in Christ College, Cambridge, where he began a degree to become a parson. While at Cambridge, Darwin was introduced to beetle collecting, which he quickly became obsessed with. He became close to a botany professor, John Stevens Henslow, someone he would stay close with for much of his life. In August 1831, Henslow wrote to Charles Darwin, inviting him to accompany Henslow as a naturalist on a 2-year expedition on the HMS Beagle to chart South American coastline. After convincing his father, Darwin accepted the invitation, and on December 27, 1831, the Beagle sailed off. Darwin kept thorough, detailed notes and journals of his observations and speculations. He sent back many specimens and other items he collected to Cambridge for study. He observed geological changes, differences in specimens, fossils, and much more. During this voyage, the HMS Beagle visited the now famous Galapagos Islands, where he mainly observed mockingbirds and tortoises. After almost 5 years, the Beagle returned from its extended journey. The HMS Beagle returned to Falmouth, Cornwall, England on October 2, 1836. Charles Darwin returned to Cambridge and met with many scientists on his collections and observations and began writing and working as a true scientist. John Gould met with Darwin in 1837 to discuss the bird species found at the Galapagos Islands. Gould found that these birds were actually the same species but had adapted. Darwin took this information and formed the start of his theory. Darwin continued his career in research on his developing theory over the years. He overworked himself at times, falling too ill to leave his home. In January 1839, Charles Darwin married his cousin, Emma Wedgwood, deciding that marriage would be in his benefit, and not in such a romantic way. His wife supported and took care of Charles over the years. The couple had 10 children, 7 surviving to adulthood. In 1858, Alfred Russel Wallace wrote to Darwin describing natural selection and wanting his opinion. Darwin had not yet published his theory and decided to present the theory jointly with Wallace. In 1859, Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species, and it was a hit. His book summarized the principles of natural selection and the argument for common descent. Though there was backlash, many found his theory fascinating and believable. Charles Darwin continued to work up until his death on April 19, 1882, in Kent, England. Darwin left a legacy more important than he could have known in his lifetime. Since his theory, scientists have widely accepted the theory of evolution and natural selection. His theory remains the most solid foundation for evolutionary research today.